tuned in to the Community Cats podcast. Ready? Let's go.
Welcome to the Community Cats podcast. I am your host, Stacy LeBaron. I've been involved helping homeless cats for over 30 years with the Merrimack River Feline Rescue Society. The goal of this podcast is to expose you to amazing people who are improving the lives of cats. I hope these interviews will help you learn how you can turn your passion for cats into action. And today we're speaking with Cathy Bissell. With 13 years of experience in animal welfare as the founder of Bissell Pet Foundation, Cathy Bissell is dedicated to creating solutions for animal welfare organizations and communities they serve. Cathy oversees the foundation's day-to-day operations, constantly collaborating with small and large animal shelters in different parts of the country to understand the most pressing challenges and needs and develop programs to make the greatest impact. Cathy's hands-on approach and life-saving vision have launched 13 programs that the foundation executes and improves upon to support its growing partner network of more than 6,000 shelters in 49 states, impacting more than 939,196 pets since 2011. Cathy's insight into the struggles of shelters and pet owners inspired her to create the groundbreaking Fix the Future initiative in 2023 to address the lack of access to veterinary care for both shelters and pet owners. Through the deployment of BPF's network of more than 285 and growing relief veterinarians, the foundation is reducing future shelter intake and solving the access to care crisis for communities across the country. Additionally, in 2016, Cathy conceived and established the foundation's Empty the Shelters adoption event, which has since become the nation's largest funded adoption event and has helped to find homes for more than 322,235 pets. BPF's programs continue to prioritize the original pillars of adoption, spay, neuter, and microchipping, while growing to include ground and air transport, crisis and disaster response, community spay, neuter, and vaccine clinics, heartworm prevention and treatment, and mentorship programs for shelters. Not only is Cathy the driving force behind every program, but mindful of every dollar, she also ensures that each gift is maximized to reach the greatest number of pets. Shelters know they can turn to Cathy Bissell and Bissell Pet Foundation to respond quickly to their concerns when other organizations cannot. In recognition of her lifelong commitment to animal welfare, Cathy was honored with the Lifetime Achievement Award by the Southampton Animal Shelter Foundation at their 2024 annual Unconditional Love Gala. Today, Cathy's 5 adopted pets inspire her as daily reminders to continue saving animals until every pet has a home. Cathy, I'd love to welcome you to the show.
Wow, what an introduction. Thank you so much, Stacy.
We have so much to talk about today. We really do. I'm just so excited to have you here. You're a leader in the animal welfare space, but a leader in the cat space too. So I'm just really excited to have you be part of our conversation today. But before we jump into everything that you're doing, what is driving you to do what you do for cats, how'd you get to be so passionate about cats?
You know, I never owned a cat growing up. And there was a cat living on my street about 25 years ago in a gutter. And I see community cats or cats out and about, but this one literally would run in and out of the gutter. And I had a mission to trap that cat. And I did. I got him. And my neighbor said, just feed him every day for 3 months. Don't let the cat out of your house and he'll be yours forever. And so guess what? That cat came in. It was a black cat and the sweetest cat ever, considering it was a feral cat. And I had 2 black labs and a black cat, and they were partners in crime at my house. And that's how I started my cat journey. And he was my favorite and my first cat. I'll never forget him.
Wow. Well, I think we all have this first cat and this memory. There was an older cat in Cambridge that was living under some stairs of an apartment building around the block from me. And he was all black too. I named him Watson. And he was just the sweetest old fellow who just happened to kind of live under the porch. And so we have these touches on our feline life that's out there. And it really helps, define where our journey was at that point in time. I thought I was going to be an architect, and here I am, a community cat podcaster. So it's very interesting how we get our start. But that was the first cat for you. But it seems like animals have been extremely important to you. But how did you get involved in establishing a foundation and really trying to impact change rather than being, I say this with love and care, just a donor? You are so much more than just a donor. So why and how did you believe that you should be in this role?
Well, things happen, right? You just don't know. Well, Katrina happened. This is how I started the foundation. I raised money for the animals at our local humane society because they were bringing in pets from Louisiana into Michigan, where I'm based. And it just started from that, the fundraising, and then did a couple more parties because it worked. And then I thought, gosh, I'm raising too much money now. I really better be responsible with how I'm giving this out. And then that's when I created the foundation, because there is a huge amount of responsibility in giving money out. You just don't give money out without knowing exactly how it's going to be used, no matter who you're giving it to, no matter who you trust. You really have to do your homework. And so I started the foundation, and we were simply a non-operational foundation, which means we raised money and then we gave the money away. So we had reporting and all sorts of great things going on. But then I started to want to understand who I was helping on a better note, get more involved, to go to places and see how they're running what they do. And that's what really took me to starting to get into shelters in different parts of the country. Every time I traveled, I would stop and visit shelters. And then it became a point of going to specific shelters and learning about them and finding that, I will say, it's pretty rough out there for a lot of shelter pets, for sure. And your heart, once you start to see and experience these pets that are wonderful, that deserve more than being in a shelter and realizing they should be in a home, you just put your passion all in and go forward. And that's really how the foundation has moved passionately through all the processes with a great team of passionate people who work at BPF. We all care and we're all very dedicated, and we all do it for the love of animals. And so it just is like a game changer. Once you understand what really is going on, you want to make a difference. You don't want to walk away from it. So that's why I'm here 14 years later.
So I'm going to try to put words in your mouth, and you can tell me if I'm right or wrong. I'm trying to understand the story and the journey. So understanding Katrina, which was a disaster where we learned a lot about how to treat our animals in time of disaster. And I still don't believe we have the perfect package together with regards to how we respond to treating animals in disaster. But I think we're in a much better place than we were back then. But that was very reactive. It was a lot of emergency response. There wasn't a lot of pre-planning. And there was a lot of knowledge about actually the situation that our shelters were in at that time. And it seemed to me, from an outsider looking in, you went through the journey with Katrina, then you moved into the larger adoption events and looking at, how do we do adoptions as a potential solution to alleviate the pressures of overpopulation in the shelters. And then I feel like now maybe you're even looking at another angle with regards to Fix the Future initiative, and trying to maybe go upstream even a little bit more, looking at systemic change within the communities to help with regard to our access to care challenges. Am I anticipating this timeline kind of correctly?
Well, actually, Empty the Shelters was started in 2016, but when I started giving money away, it was actually for spay and neuter. It just wasn't, we weren't doing the spay and neuter. I was giving money away to shelters for spay and neuter, and they would report back. So let's say I'd give a grant of $10,000, and it would be either for cats or dogs or a mix. And then they would report back to me after 6 months. I would give them $5,000 upfront and $5,000 after the report, so I could understand how they were spending it. So that was always a part of it. Spay and neuter always was important. But then as I started visiting shelters and seeing all these pets that were so deserving, like, the one thing I say is, if you haven't been to a shelter, you really need to go, because these are wonderful pets that are waiting for homes. And take the time and visit your local shelter, or when you go into different communities, go visit the shelters. They're all different, and they have so many beautiful pets. I don't know how I don't walk out with every single one every time. It's heartbreaking. And so I was like, I'm going to yell it from the rafters. I'm going to tell people they've got to go to the shelter. They've got to save these lives. And it's really interesting for me because, just on a little tangent, you see these dogs and some have dog runs, some have a square small box. It depends. But consistently across the board, if you are a cat person, the cat habitats are very tiny. These animals need to be stretching their legs and roaming. And my big thing is, can't you let cats out and let them just roam in certain areas of the shelter? A lot of shelters do. They do that with dogs too. And I always say, that's the sign to me of a really good shelter. The ones where people have pets in their offices. They really care. They want these animals out of their small areas and trying to acclimate to being around people and not being so fearful. Yeah, so it's been a good journey. And that Empty the Shelters really was the fastest growing adoption event that, was paid for. There's a Clear the Shelter and an Empty the Shelter. And an Empty the Shelter, we actually give the shelters money in exchange for them adopting out, just to help them, because we're here to support shelters. So I really believe, even though the money isn't that much, it's still worthwhile. We put a lot of marketing and time into getting these pets adopted and helping these shelters be successful.
Yeah, and I think it's excellent. There certainly are times in the year where shelters are really full, and there are certain parts of the country where shelters are full all the time. So there's pressures 365 days a year. So, and I get that. And I think that there are strategies for those shelters, and then there's seasonal programs too. And I think that these adoption campaigns are really wonderful to help with that seasonality issue and to help with alleviating pressure and strain, and they really are fun too. I mean, I've certainly participated in enough of the adoption events where at the end of the day, you're really tired, but you just feel like you have done such a good job and you've found so many homes for cats. And it's a nice feeling, and you can breathe in your adoption facility because it's empty or it's at half capacity. It's definitely better than it was in the morning. So you must feel that positive energy.
Oh my gosh, it's such a good feeling because it's great for the pet. The pet is going into a home. But like you said, the people working these events, the people that are in the shelter every day, to see their pet that they love going into a home with a family, I mean, there's nothing more rewarding. So, we always say it's like saving the shelter people's lives too when these pets get adopted, because there's a worry factor. When an animal lives in your shelter for a long time, you're concerned about these pets and making sure they get into homes. So it's a relief. It's a great feeling.
So let's take a step back and talk about spaying and neutering and the spay neuter grants. And tell me about your spay neuter journey. When did you feel like it was extremely important for spay neuter to be part of your organization's mission? And how do you feel like it has impacted the overall welfare for cats?
Oh my gosh. So of course, giving out grants early on and then becoming hands-on with shelters and understanding really the real situation with what's going on. And spay and neuter is super important. When COVID hit, of course, things kind of came to a screeching halt. Shelters stopped. Community people weren't out collecting feral cats and community cats because they had nowhere to take them. There was no access to care, which became a really big problem. And we all knew that was going to be an explosive problem later, which it is. Right now, it is a real problem. So we started this program called Fix the Future. And the number of cats we've done since the start of the program, which is a free spay-neuter program, mind you. So we get a lot of ferals and community cats coming in on a regular basis, as well as owned pets and cats that might be in rescue as well. To date, I mean, our numbers overall are 138,000 spay and neuters since we started under a year and a half ago. Okay, so that's shocking. We have done 86,963 cats since we started this. So it is really saving lives. It's amazing. So our program is in 27 states right now and growing with 385 vets, and they're high volume, high quality vets. So they are very good and talented. They have minimum requirement for what they need to do daily. And these vets are relief vets, so they might not be full-time at the host organization that we've identified, but they'll come in, and a lot of them, once they sign up, they come back and back, so they can cut 5 or 6 times a month. And it's really been amazing to watch the numbers, especially for the cats. I have a clinic here in Michigan that I opened up just a year ago right now, where we've done almost, I want to say we've probably done, out of the 4,000 pets that we've done at this particular facility, I think 3,000 are cats, and they're coming from all over the state of Michigan, if you can believe it. So, and tons and tons of ferals coming in. Right now, we've had clinics every 2 weeks. We have a clinic, and we have anywhere from 2 to 5 veterinarians in here working. And the amount of cats that are coming in, I mean, some days we just have cat days because there's so many. And it is worth it because we know we're stopping this overpopulation. They're coming from all over the state. We're in Grand Rapids, Michigan. They're coming from Detroit. They're coming from Berrien, all the counties. And it's really making a huge difference. And people, especially the people who are bringing the cats in, they're talking about their feral population and the difference that they're already seeing. So it's been wonderful, and it's going to continue. And we are using Michigan as a prime example because we can track everything with all of our partners here. The cool thing is that people are out there trapping. And of course, last week when we did it, one feral group said they had 50 traps, but they could have had 100 traps. They were all out. It was a beautiful day. The cats really wanted to be caught and spayed or neutered because they were just lining up. And anyway, they came in, and the people that trap a lot of times are very experienced with cats, of course. And so they pitch in on the clinics. So it's everybody working together, and it's really fun to see. So on cat days, all the cat people come out and they work the clinic. And it's just amazing to see the love for each and every animal, to have 20 to 25 cats lined up in recovery at a time. It's pretty awesome. And we know that we're making just a huge impact for these cats. They're all then taken back and released into their neighborhoods where they came from.
Yeah, it's the MASH style clinics are a lot of fun, and people love them, and you feel the purpose right there, and you feel the benefits for the cats, and it's a well-oiled machine and a routine, and it works great. And I try to encourage as many small TNR groups that might not have access to care to try and create a MASH style model in their own community, whether it's one Sunday a month or a day a week or once a quarter. It doesn't matter, but try and create it to help build even just a bit more of spay-neuter capacity for our community cats, because at the end of the day, trap, neuter, return doesn't get too far if you don't have that neuter part taken care of in there. And so we have to, as our own organizations, you've created capacity as a funder. You said, as a funder, we need more capacity, so let's build it. And I think we all need to think like a funder, not like someone else needs to create this opportunity for me. No, I think we have to do it on our own and collaborate together, work together, but we may have to be the initiators of it. I don't know what you're seeing all around the country, Cathy, but I feel like people and organizations are have to be creative and inventive to grow their spay-neuter capacity.
They really do. They really have to care about doing it. And it's fairly easy. It's just expensive. To do a pop-up clinic can be expensive, which I'm finding out. That's why my clinic was starting as just a kind of a pop-up 5-day clinic. But now it's a permanent clinic because you get the equipment, it's all in place, and it certainly makes it easier. We've done some big days, we've done some smaller days, but the difference that you just see, some of these rescue groups have huge amounts of cats in their care, and they're taking care of cats in different areas than the area that they live in. I mean, people who love cats really love cats, and they are out there really making a difference. One of our groups, I know it's going to sound crazy, but she has 900 cats in her group. So she has fosters. Most are in fosters, but they want to get them out and adopted, and that's important. So we have spayed and neutered everything that she has, which is wonderful. And just the experience of knowing that now these cats can go into homes, that makes a difference. It relieves people of a lot of expense and a lot of pressure on them, knowing that the pets are now safe to go into a home.
Imagine having the tools and confidence to build and lead a program that truly transforms the lives of community cats. The Community Cats Program Management course is an 8-week online course offered through the University of the Pacific, co-taught by Stacy LeBaron and Elizabeth Finch of Community Cats Central, along with guest experts. This college-level certificate course is designed for nonprofit leaders, shelter staff, animal control officers, and community cat advocates who want to take their work to the next level. You'll learn how to run effective programs, from mastering TNR and colony care to community outreach, legal considerations, partnerships, volunteer management, and building long-term sustainability. The next session begins September 15th with course materials available on demand to fit with your busy schedule and live Q&A sessions every Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. If you've been looking for the next step in your journey as a community cat advocate, this course was made for you. Learn more and register at communitycatspodcast.com/college-program. That's communitycatspodcast.com/college-program.
Have you ever wondered if your neighbor's sneaky cat was actually a covert ops agent? Do you lie awake pondering the science behind why cats are cuter than babies? Are you a culture, history, and science buff with a slightly weird sense of humor? Do you just love cats? You're in luck. 6 Degrees of Cats, the world's #1 and only cat-themed culture, history, and science podcast, is launching our next season. You'll hear from experts including American University in Cairo's Egyptologist Dr. Salima Ikram.
Dogs in ancient Egypt have names. Cats don't.
International Spy Museum curator Andrew Hammond.
Cats know how to be quiet. They don't draw attention to themselves.
And NAP Ministry Bishop Tricia Hersey.
You just have to trust the process when you look at cats and how much they sleep.
Join the crew of 6 Degrees of Cats on our next voyage across history and cultures to continue exploring how and why everything is connected to cats. Subscribe now.
When we launched the Community Cats podcast, our goal was simple: share stories and strategies to help cat lovers turn their passion into action. But something amazing happened. Our community grew, and so did our mission. Over the years, we've added webinars, conferences, certification courses, downloadable tools, and a whole lot more to support people who care about cats. So it's time for our name to reflect everything we do. The podcast isn't going anywhere, but our overall platform is rebranding as Community Cat Central. It's the same team, the same heart, and the same commitment, just with a fresh new look and even better ways to help you take action for cats in your community. You'll start seeing updates soon, including a brand new website, smarter email tools, and resources that are easier to access and use. We're so grateful to have you on this journey with us, and we can't wait to show you what's next. Are you getting your message across to your entire community? Do they know what programs you offer and what they can do to help? Learn more about how to effectively market your organization, or just sharpen your skills with a free self-paced marketing course, The Fundamentals of Marketing on Maddie's University. The course is designed to provide a basic understanding of marketing and provide you with templates and tools to elevate and improve your organization's brand, voice, and audience, and have fun while doing it. You'll receive a strategic marketing plan template to download free. Go to university.maddiesfund.org and search marketing to enroll now. There was a study that Peter Marsh quoted many years ago in one of his papers on pet overpopulation that said that as your income level goes up, the number of dogs you have go up. But as your income level goes down, the number of cats you have goes up. So it's an inverse relationship. And with that being said, you've mentioned a couple of communities, but I just didn't know if across the country, Cathy, if your organization is specifically focused on certain areas of the country.
Yes, we started this initiative. Well, we started in Michigan, but then we started in the South. So we're in Louisiana, Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia, Tennessee, Kentucky, Texas. We're 27 states, and we're growing rapidly, which is good and bad, right? Because funding, it's free to people, but it's working, and people are driving hours into these communities. Arkansas. I was at an event in Arkansas recently where the people were literally crying, saying they came from a smaller town in Arkansas, than where the spay neuter was happening, but they would drive in and they said, you're literally impacting our community. I mean, we're already feeling it and it hasn't been that long. So we know the importance of spay and neuter and how easy it is for people to just contribute somehow to help make a difference, even if, like you said, turn your back and just say, it's not my problem. It actually should be everyone's problem. If they love cats, they should be thinking about how they can best help them, because I read a statistic recently that 65% of the kittens that are born within the first 6 months of their life as a feral die a terrible death. And so if you love cats, you should be concerned about trying to help bring those numbers down so animals don't suffer, because this is why we do this. We don't want animals suffering, having unwanted litters of cats and having to have them suffer. So it should be everyone's problem. Everybody should consider helping somewhere, either donating their time. I always say it's so easy to donate, either giving of your time, giving of some resources to a group that's out there making a difference, or donating money, because those are all the things that really can help. And you don't have to do any more than that, but do something to make that difference.
So if there was somebody out there and listening to this podcast and says, okay, Cathy, you've been doing this for a while. If you had to start over, would you change your strategy?
No, this strategy is working. It's such a short time, and already the numbers, 138,000 spay and neuters across 27 states and growing. My strategy maybe would be fundraise first, because it is really expensive. But this is also a program that's meant to disrupt a little bit, because a lot of people who care about cats want to take their cat in to be spayed or neutered, or ferals into a vet. But the cost for the veterinarian has gone up so high. Drug costs have gone up. Everything's gone up. So it's cost prohibitive. So instead, they have these cats living in their home, of course, multiplying, or they're not picking them up off the street in feral communities and bringing them in to be spayed and neutered. So this is a disruptor program to keep costs low. And so we're starting at no cost. We do charge in our program for vaccines, because we believe that every single cat being touched must be vaccinated and ear-tipped. And so this is their chance. And I always say this is the one chance they get to have more of a healthy life than they ever would. So spay and neuter and a vaccine, all the mandatory vaccines that they need, it's important. So that's what we do. And if they're sick, if they have some kind of a flea infestation or anything else, we ask the organizations doing it to please treat. And we definitely treat at the Michigan clinic. We want these animals to go back into their environments being as healthy as they can, because it's rough out there.
I want to just circle back with regards to a question on the adoption side of things. What are your thoughts around spay neuter before adoption, as well as the spaying and neutering of kittens under the age of 6 months?
With what I see, every pet going out and anybody participating in our programs for Empty the Shelters, the pets must be spayed or neutered, or there must be a contract that says you will be bringing this pet back in. Those are very far and few between, because we know that these animals do not need to go out into the community, not spayed or neutered. So we are pretty strong about that. We do follow-up surveys just to get general ideas. And if somebody writes us back and says, well, my cat wasn't neutered, they told me I'd come back, then we're okay with it. But if they say my cat wasn't neutered and we don't have a date, we've got a problem with that organization, and we address it. How do I feel about under 6 months? Well, listen, I know that they talk about health issues and bone growth and hormones at such a young age, but right now the problem is suffering. And I'd rather have these animals be spayed or neutered under 6 months than over 2 pounds or over 2.5 pounds, but they can't be out there continuing to produce, because we have a big problem right now, and it's bigger than it's been in a long time, and we need to address it. And that won't be, we just have to make sure we're doing everything we can.
What are your thoughts about the role of private practice in spay neuter? I heard some statistics that private practice veterinarians, some of them may only do a handful of spays and neuters a month in their private practice. Do you see any opportunities for growth there?
So I can't really answer that, but I can answer the fact that most veterinary schools only graduate their students with 1 to 3 spay neuters. So if vet coming out of vet school is interested in surgery and getting brought up to speed on spay and neuter, I mean, think about going to a private practice after you graduate and you're slow. And so you can understand some of the costs because they're slow. They're trying to learn. They haven't really had that much experience with it. There are schools like Mississippi State. You can't graduate unless you've had at least 300 spay and neuters. Those shelter veterinarian schools that's what's needed. So these private practice vets really don't have that much experience. And it's probably not that they're not spaying and neutering. It's just the veterinarians just don't have as much experience as they might need. And it takes a while to get good at it and to be fast.
Right.
So that's the problem on the school side.
Yeah, and I'm on the board of the United Spay Alliance, and we try to change some of that through a wet lab training program that we're now offering all across the country for veterinarians to try and teach them some of the high quality, high volume spay neuter techniques. And you can't do it all in one day, but at least you can get some exposure to what these techniques look like. I do find that in states that have these volunteer-run MASH-style spay-neuter clinics where vets come to stay, I hate to say it, but to stay sharp with their skills, it's interesting because then they're not doing as much surgery during the week that we might anticipate that they are. When I was working with 14 private practice veterinarians in the 1990s, we were always using the brand new veterinarians that were out of school, and it was a way for them to learn surgical techniques and to get familiar with pediatric spay neuter. And I do think, unfortunately, over the years, with the creation of the high quality, high volume spay neuter affordable model, that maybe we've lost some opportunities within the private practice space. And this is all hands on deck. I'm with you 100% on that, and that we just need to try and grow capacity at all different angles, whether it's a MASH style clinic, whether it's a full-time veterinary clinic, a stationary clinic, a mobile clinic. There's models for all different kinds of communities out here. And it really sounds like the BPF is just doing an incredible job. The numbers are just mind-blowing. I can't even wrap my head around them. So, Cathy, thank you for that. If folks are interested in either participating or finding out more about the foundation, how would they do that?
Thank you for asking. They could go to BissellPetFoundation.org, and we have everything on our site. And we're changing numbers constantly. Every week, it's 5,000 to 7,000 more spay and neuters somewhere in these 27 states and growing. So it's pretty exciting. And just remembering that even a small donation helps, because our average spay and neuter is costing us $35 in 27 states. And I know there are states that might charge, in California when I was out there, $1,500 for a cat neuter. I mean, please, right?
Yeah.
It's way too much. People can't afford it. I mean, I have a lot of pets at my house, and I can tell you I would be overwhelmed with that number, and like anybody should be. So this is a program that we're doing it as inexpensively as we can. Our numbers are coming in, and this is our average, $35 a pet. They can charge for vaccines, but no more than $25, which is perfect. So that really covers their DEA drugs, the things that they use during surgery, sutures, needles, that kind of thing. And at the same time, being able to vaccinate these pets, the cats that are coming in. So it's a great program, and I'm excited to have it continue to grow as we get phone calls every week of people wanting to onboard. But it's a mix of finding the right veterinarian who is high volume, high quality, and putting them in the right host facility that wants to do it. Because you might have a host facility somewhere in the middle of Arkansas and the vet's 3 hours away. So how do you make that happen on a regular basis? That's a long way for a veterinarian to drive. But I will tell you that this program runs on dedication by everyone. It's not just Bissell Pet Foundation making this difference. We are putting the formula together and making it happen. We're matchmaking. but it's the veterinarians who are passionate about seeing the difference being made. I mean, they're thrilled. These veterinarians I have one veterinarian who is in Alabama right now on vacation for 3 months with his wife, and he is doing nothing but spay and neuter 5 days a week. I'm like, that is not much of a vacation, but they get charged from it. It's so exciting to know that you're saving so many lives. And I guess that would be my message to everybody. Know the difference you're making. Even for a small donation of $35, you can save hundreds of lives from being born. And what a difference, right? So it's exciting. And, it's growing rapidly. And we will have so many high numbers on cats because cats are fast and easy to do. And so people love doing cats. It's not as exhausting for the veterinarians, and they can do many more. Some of these doctors can do up to 65 cats a day. We had one vet who was a new surgeon out of Michigan State do 89 neuters in one day.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, it's incredible. It's the dedication and love of wanting to learn how to do it. So it's so great.
That is excellent. I love hearing about the neuter-only events too, even bringing in your own unneutered cat or bringing in a TNR cat that needs to be neutered. That's a great starting point for any organization that's a little unsure if they want to deal with volume. I think it's great to start with the cat neutering, and it does still make an impact on the numbers in the community. You'll see a 20 to 30% reduction of intakes of kittens, even if you do neuter-only events at enough of a volume. And so if you are limited, and you might be able to talk a private practice or a local veterinarian into like taking one day and just doing neuters for the community that day at a certain price point, it still is going to make a difference. So take what you can get, that's for sure. Don't say no to anything. Take what you can get, for sure.
I agree. I want to tell you something how naive I am. When I first got into working with animals and starting my foundation, you might appreciate this. I was pretty much attacked one Thanksgiving by people, like hundreds and hundreds of people, because I didn't understand when I was giving grant money out for cats, spay and neuter, and or adoption, that I didn't have a clause in there saying you can't declaw. So it was a real education for me. And I quickly changed my form when I finally found out the source of my attack, who was a veterinarian out of London, who worked with a woman in New York City to help bring awareness to me through this attack, which ended up being very worthwhile, and just basically said, you're amputating the fingers on each cat, and you can't do that. And I had no idea. And that was a really great learning lesson for me. For those people who don't understand about declawing, we will not allow declawing to happen anymore. We will not work with partners that declaw because it is cruel and terrible. I never knew that.
Cathy, thank you for sharing that. And it just also circles back that we're all learning, and we're always learning. And so we need to be kind to one another and realize that we're all just trying to share as much information with each other as possible. And we learn, we change, and we move on, and we share with others what we've learned. And we can do it in a kind and respectful way. So I appreciate you sharing that story, because I'm sure at the time it might not have been as easy to share. So I appreciate you sharing.
No, actually, we got to the source. I got to the source pretty quickly. And
good. Great.
It followed up. I had a lot of disappointed organizations that I was working with, but you know what? They all changed. Yeah. And so that's okay then. It was really learning. And I'm always learning. I mean, this was not my field or my education. So I'm always happy to learn and try to make that difference. And like you said, always adjusting. We have to do that.
So, Cathy, any final thoughts you'd like to share with our listeners before we close out today?
I just thank you for having me on. I have just fallen in love with what I do. And I guess I would tell people to please go out and make a difference, because it's never too late. I was 49 when I started doing all this, and it's just never too late to go out there and make change and save lives. And it's a really good feeling. Being a donor is great, but understand where your money is going. Be sure you check that out and be a part of making that difference. instead of just giving the money away. Do what you can to help. There are so many cat organizations and rescues and that you can be really helpful to, and they need your help, especially now. So be that person and make that difference because it'll change your life.
Cathy, I want to thank you so much for agreeing to be a guest on my show, and I hope we'll have you on again in the future.
Oh, thank you so much, Stacy. So wonderful. I appreciate all you do.
That's it for this week. Please head over to Apple Podcasts and leave a review. We love to hear what you think, and a 5-star review really helps others find the show. You can also join the conversation with listeners, cat caretakers, and me on Facebook and Instagram. And don't forget to hit follow or subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, YouTube, Stitcher, or wherever you listen to podcasts so you don't miss a single show. Thanks for listening, and thank you for everything that you do to help create a safe and healthy world for cats.